First of all, we did the first chapter of history, that is sources of history, where we learned what are the different sources, why are they important, how do we get to understand the historical facts that had happened at some point of time, what are written sources, what are material sources, what importance does each one of them hold. So this is what we did in the chapter on sources. We laid a lot of emphasis on newspapers and coins mostly, and also on postage stamps. So that's what we did in the first chapter, how and why the stamps, etc., and all the other sources are very important. Then we started with the second chapter of history, where we were just trying to understand and find out what happened immediately after independence, what were the different prime ministers, what did they do, what were the significant events that happened during their rule. So these were some of the things that we were reflecting upon in the last class. Now today we are going to carry on from where we left. Um, After independence, there were three main issues in front of our government, very important issues categorized into three broad categories, that is social, political, and economic. Now, what we did was to solve the economic problems. The government came up with an idea and they established the Planning Commission, which was formed on 15th of March 1950. Okay, and the Prime Minister is the ex officio chairman of the Planning Commission. And after Narendra Modi came to power, he replaced the Planning Commission with the Niti Aayog. Niti stands for National Institution for Transforming India. Again, so the ex officio chairman of the Niti Aayog will be the Prime Minister. So that currently is Mr. Narendra Modi, and it has its headquarters at Delhi. Now it aims to achieve sustainable development. So that was for the economic issues. To solve the social issues, our government came up with many plans, many programs, many policies which were welfare oriented. They kept a lot of industries in the public sector, which was owned by the government. Why was this done? So that the prices are affordable to everybody and India could take itself or drag itself out of poverty. So socially, these were the things that were done. Now, coming to the political issues, to solve the political issues, obviously the government was very, very active. As we had studied two prime ministers, you know, some important events that happened. We had wars at that time, which made internal functioning very difficult and challenging. After that, the biggest way to win the trust of the people was that they gave everybody the right to vote. Our constitution mentions universal adult franchise as a right which is of prime importance for the citizens. So that is what we talk about, universal adult franchise and the right to vote. So politically, many things were done to restore peace, stability, and confidence in the government in our country. So now we have done the first two prime ministers. Our first prime minister, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru. He was the longest serving prime minister of India. Some of the important events that happened during his time was the annexation of Goa, Daman and Diu. Okay. Uh, just for you guys to recollect, Portuguese people were ruling in Goa, Daman and Diu for almost 450 years. And finally, there was a 36-hour battle between the Indian army and the Portuguese people. And finally, Goa was freed from the Portuguese rule on 19th of December 1961. Goa, Daman and Diu together was made a union territory. But finally, Goa was granted a statehood in the year 1987. And Daman and Diu still continues to be a union territory. The second most important event and the last important event basically that endangered internal peace, that was an external threat to our country, happened during Jawaharlal Nehru's rule, that was the Indo-China War of 1962. Now this war resulted in Chinese victory, mainly because Indians had made a lot of mistakes. Jawaharlal Nehru over trusted the Chinese people a lot. We had many casualties. We lost 42,735 kilometers of our area. We were attacked on all fronts. We were not prepared for the war. We did not use Air Force. Our leadership was very weak. And because of all these things, India lost the Indo-China War. Now, Jawaharlal Nehru suffered a heart attack and he died. Once he died, Mr. Gulzarilal Nanda became the interim prime minister. As I told you last class, interim means temporary. Okay. And from 27th of May to 9th of June 1964, Mr. Gulzarilal Nanda became our interim prime minister, after which elections were held. And then our second prime minister came to power, that was Mr. Lal Bahadur Shastri. He gave the slogan Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, which highlights the importance that he gave to soldiers and the farmers. One important event that took place during his rule was the Indo-Pak War of the year 1965. The war lasted from August to September, end of September, mainly over Jammu and Kashmir and LOC. So finally, the war was not coming to an end. It was just going on and on without any results. And so the UN mandated ceasefire, meaning the United Nations intervened, and they said that now we have to stop fighting. Mandated means made it compulsory. So they had no choice but to stop fighting. Now both the sides said that we are victorious. India said we are victorious. Pakistan said we are victorious. And finally USA and USSR, that is America and Russia, intervened in the war. And finally a peace agreement was signed between India and Pakistan. From India, it was signed by Mr. Lal Bahadur Shastri, who was our Prime Minister, and from Pakistan, it was signed by Muhammad Ayub Khan, who was the Pakistani President. This was signed on 10th of January 1966 at Tashkent, and so that is why this is known as the Tashkent Declaration. Now, why that Tashkent in Russia, when Lal Bahadur Shastri had gone over there to sign the agreement? He died under mysterious circumstances. I think we discussed that last class. And so again, India became a country without a prime minister. So as we know, there cannot be a country without a prime minister. So again, Mr. Gulzarilal Nanda became the interim prime minister of our country from 11th of January to 24th of January 1966. Okay, so that is what we had done last class, and we have to begin with Indira Gandhi. Is anyone having any doubts in what we had done last class? I'm giving you 2 minutes. You can ask me questions if you have some doubts. Okay, I'll wait for 2 minutes, or else then we'll move with the class. Any doubt, please ask. Feel free to ask. All right, so let's move on. So we move on with the first and the only woman prime minister of our country till date, that is Indira Gandhi. She served twice as the Prime Minister of India. Now her rule, we are going to break it into two parts and understand. So the first part of her rule, or the first part of her being Prime Minister, was from 24th January 1966 to 24th March 1977. Okay. And the second part of her rule is from 14th January 1980 to 31st October 1984. So there are two times when she becomes the Prime Minister. First, let us concentrate on the part 1 of her rule, which was from 24th Jan 1966 to 24th March 1977. So it's like almost 11 years. So you can imagine how strong she was as the Prime Minister of our country. Now, the presidents during her rule, the part one of her rule were Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, Zakir Hussain, V.V. Giri, and Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed. Okay. Now, when Shastri died, just give me a second. Okay. So excuse me for the I paused the video. So let's start. So let's concentrate on part one of Indira Gandhi's rule. Now, when Shastri died, she was appointed as the member of a Rajya Sabha, and she also became the Minister of Information and Broadcasting. Now, the next general elections that were held, she campaigned to become the Prime Minister, and so she came to power in the next general elections. She was obviously very, very popular as she was Nehru's daughter. Again, during this election, there was a part of the Congress which were opposed to a woman becoming the Prime Minister of our country, and they tried to put her down, but very tactfully and she really manipulated all these people and came to power from the general elections. After that, the people of the Congress or the Congress members could not say much because obviously it was universal adult franchise, and she came to power because of the wishes of the people, because the people voted for her. Now, many things happened during her rule. The first thing that took place, which was very significant, was the Indo-Pakistan War, again, the 1971 war. Now, when India became independent, present-day Bangladesh was called East Pakistan. So, when the Radcliffe line was drawn, the Pakistan country was divided into two. The original Pakistan that exists even today was called West Pakistan, and Bangladesh was called East Pakistan. So now if we go to think of it, it's really funny that one country is divided by another country. So part of it is on one side and the other part is on the other side. Now the Bangladeshi people felt really alienated. They felt left out because they felt that the Pakistani people were not giving them all the rights. They were insecure, and they were not taken care of. So these people started demanding, East Pakistan started demanding that we want to make a separate state of Bangladesh. We want to break away from India. So in East Pakistan, there was a huge movement, a big a revolt. It was called Mukti Bahini. Mukti means freedom. They wanted to gain freedom. Now, because of this, India had a lot of refugees coming into Bengal. And this unrest, finally, it started bothering us, the coming of refugees. And so the Indian government intervened and then into the war and tried to make peace between East and West Pakistan. Now the war, this Indo-Pak war, India was basically in favor of Bangladesh becoming independent. Now this war between India and Pakistan lasted for 13 days from 3rd of December to 16th of December 1971. It's also called one of the shortest wars in Indian history. Now this resulted in the victory of India, and East Pakistan became independent, and now it was called Bangladesh. On the western front, that is where we have current Pakistan, Indian forces, we captured around 15,010 square kilometers of land. But then finally we returned this captured land in the year 1972. Now, again, as we all know, at the end of every war, there is a declaration, a treaty to be signed. So the Shimla Agreement was signed at the end of this Indo-Pak War of 1971. Because it was signed in Shimla, we call it the Shimla Agreement. This was signed on 2nd of July 1972. From India, it was signed by our Prime Minister, that is Indira Gandhi. And from Pakistan, it was signed by our President, which was Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. Okay. So that's the first significant event during Indira Gandhi's rule. Coming to the second one, it was the atomic device testing. India carried out underground test of atomic device at Pokhran in 18th May 1974. This was codenamed Smiling Buddha. So that's it. And then Sikkim, in the year 1975, Sikkim joined the Indian Republic, and finally it was granted statehood. We will concentrate on this secession movements in the or secessionism in the Northeast in the next chapter. Finally, a very important thing associated with Indira Gandhi. What she is extremely famous for, or whenever we hear her name, uh, there was something that she declared which is quite synonymous now with her name. Can anyone please tell me what was this event? Yes, Adinath? Anyone? Some of you have attended this class before. You can answer. Yes. Adinath is not able to unmute. Siddharth, yes, it was the emergency. So this was the emergency. So she declared emergency in 1974. Now what happened is she ruled from 1966 to 1977. Now in between, obviously, there were elections and she was re-elected. So she has served 2-3 terms at that time. When there were elections in the year 1974, many people were against Indira Gandhi, and so they made a group together, and they filed a case against Indira Gandhi, saying that she has used government machinery during the election campaigning. So if you guys remember, in the ninth standard, you must have done a chapter which was based on elections in politics, electoral politics. In that, in the rules, you would have seen the code of conduct, moral code of conduct, which clearly stated that you cannot use any government machinery or money during the election campaigns. So they accused Indira Gandhi of misusing the her powers and misusing all the government vehicles, etc. So they put a court case on her in 1974 in the Allahabad High Court. Now, finally, the court also gave the verdict that yes, Indira Gandhi had misused the government machinery during the elections. Now, because the court ruling came against her, it clearly meant that she would have to give away her seat, that she would no longer be eligible to be the prime minister of our country. Now, this movement, all these scams, all these revolts against Indira Gandhi were mainly led by Jai Prakash Narayan. Finally, now what happened is Indira Gandhi, she joined hands with Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad, who was the president of India at that time, and at midnight she declared emergency. Now, what we mean by emergency is that all the civic rights, all the fundamental rights of the people are suspended till the emergency lasts. So, as citizens of a country, if an emergency is declared today, I will lose all my 6 fundamental rights. They will all be suspended for any period of time or till the emergency lasts. And when there is an emergency, the president can directly rule the country without the interference of the prime minister. There can be no elections and everything would come on hold. Now, if Indira Gandhi declares emergency, and as she did declare emergency, this clearly means that she would continue to be the prime minister of our country, because the president has declared emergency and no new elections can be held. Nobody can vacate the seats in the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha or even in any of the states' government. Everything would continue to function as it is. So this was a very clever move on her part, where she got the emergency declared so that she could save herself as the prime minister of our country. And what they did is on the night, so 25th June 1975, the emergency was declared, and on the midnight of 24th June, they cut the power supplies of all the press, all the newspaper presses, and because of which they could not print anything. So no electricity was restored for the next one day. So to control the situation, to avoid all the criticism that would come about, and very intelligently the emergency was declared. Now, obviously, politically, in our parliament, nobody liked this move of Indira Gandhi. This made her very, very unpopular because they were as it is against her, and when she declared emergency, they got all the more angry and agitated. So, what happened during the time of the emergency, that is between 1975 and 1977, many political parties they came together, basically united we stand, divided we fall. So if they wanted to win over Indira Gandhi, they had to come together. So they all came together and formed the Janata Party. Now in the next elections that happened in the year 1977, once the emergency was scrapped, once the emergency was over, elections were held, and Indira Gandhi, because she became very unpopular among the people, the Janata Party came to power. But again, the Janata Party was very, very unstable. It was highly unstable. So 1977 elections, Indira Gandhi got defeated and Morarji Desai became the prime minister who belonged to the Janata Party. Now, he served as the prime minister from 24th March 1977 to 28th July 1979. Now, this government could not last long due to internal differences. Now, remember, the Janata Party was not a party that was made by the people of one school of thought or people who have similar thinking. It was made with a spirit of revenge, with a spirit of vengeance, only to defeat Indira Gandhi. So many political parties had come together. Now, if I have 4 and 5 political parties coming together, everybody from that wants to become the prime minister. They want to have the power. They want to have only their policies. They are not concerned about the other policies. They all have different thoughts, different ways of thinking, or different things of different ideas of what they want to achieve and what they want to do. So obviously, always a coalition government is always very unstable. And for the same reason, the Janata Party was also very, very unstable. And that's why it could not last long because of internal differences. Now, after that, again, there were elections, and Charan Singh became the Prime Minister of our country. Again, he ruled from 28th July 1979 to 14th January 1980. That's just like 6 to 7 months. Again, because of internal differences, he could not last as Prime Minister for very long. Elections were held again now, and finally the Congress party again came to power. So basically, what happened from 1977 to 1980 was clearly showed that it was only the Congress prime ministers or the Congress party which could survive, which could come to power, who could be prime ministers for long, who could serve the entire term of 5 years of being the prime minister. And the people also lost faith in all the other parties because they were highly unstable. They could not manage anything at all. And so they again voted for the Congress party and Indira Gandhi. So she came to power. Now she ruled from 14th January 1980 to 31st October 1984 till she was assassinated, till she was killed. Now this means that again she completed her term as the Prime Minister. So this is the second part of a rule that we are now coming to. The presidents during this time of a rule were Sanjeeva Reddy and Zail Singh. Now, the most important thing or event that happened during the second part of Indira Gandhi being the Prime Minister was the demand for Khalistan. We will do this when we come to the next chapter. Okay, so that's the demand for Khalistan. This was a movement in Punjab where they wanted to establish a Sikh theocratic state. We will do this in detail when we come to the next chapter. Finally, now what happened, the demand for Khalistan is that the Sikh people in Punjab demanded for a separate state of Punjab, which they wanted to call Khalistan. And the terrorists at this time who wanted Khalistan, they went and hid or took shelter in the Golden Temple at Amritsar. Now, to bring the terrorists out, Indira Gandhi obviously had to order that you must get the terrorists out of the Golden Temple. This really enraged, agitated, angered the Sikh community. saying that Indira Gandhi has attacked our holy place, our pious place, and so she was assassinated by her Sikh soldiers at 9:30 a.m. on 31st October 1984 at her residence in Safdarjung Road, New Delhi. The bodyguards who killed her were Satwant Singh and Bian Singh. Now, this marked the end of Indira Gandhi's rule. So she was assassinated. But we need to remember that she was a really very dynamic woman. She served twice as the Prime Minister of our country. She completed her terms. Okay, she could not complete the last term because she was assassinated. She completed being 5 years. There were no re-elections at that time, which showed that uh, uh, which showed that the Congress government under Indira Gandhi was very stable and they were obviously handling all the issues very well. So let's come to this marks the end of Indira Gandhi's rule, and then we need to go to the next president, sorry, next prime minister. Before that, I have two doubts. Adinath is asking, but then the president would take decisions. How did it help Indira Gandhi then? Okay, I am your friend, you are my friend. My enemy is your enemy is my enemy, right? So what happened is having the emergency declared was a very, very manipulative move made by Indira Gandhi. She wanted to save her seat, her prestige, her name, the family's reputation, the reputation of the Indian National Congress, which is famously known as the party which helped us gain independence. So to save all of that, she did not want to give up her seat. And just imagine if she would have accepted all the um, allegations that were put on her, saying that she had used the election during government machinery during election campaign. So if she would have accepted the allegations, she would have publicly accepted that she was wrong. Now nobody could have done this, right? um, so what she did is she joined hands with the president, and it was like the president was a puppet at that time in the hands of Indira Gandhi. So he would only do what Indira Gandhi was telling him to do, just like a puppet. Ha, nahi to nahi. So that is how it functioned. So they both got together to save her seat, and yes, so it's just a manipulative move, Adinath. How it would help Indira Gandhi? She would do whatever she wanted. She would just do it through her puppet. That was the president of our country at that time, Mr. Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad. All right, Adinath. Welcome. Now, Esas is asking, can you repeat why she was assassinated? I've just told you here in short. Just wait for some time till the end of the class. We will discuss the Khalistan movement in detail. That time we will clearly understand why she was assassinated. So I've just told you here in short. Uh, so just wait for the class. If you feel it's not clear, please ask me again. Soham is asking me duration of the national emergency. That was almost 2 years, 25th June 1975 till 21st March 1977. Okay. So now, once she has been assassinated, our country, we know. Yes, Esas, this chapter is from the state board. 9th standard Maharashtra state board. All right, now we come to our next prime minister. That was Rajiv Gandhi. Rajiv Gandhi was the youngest prime minister our country has ever had, son of Indira Gandhi. So immediately after her assassination, her death, he came to power from 31st October 1984 to 31st December 1984. After that, there were elections. So again from 31st December 1984 to 2nd December 1989. Now he also completed the terms when he was selected as the prime minister. Okay, the president during Rajiv Gandhi's rule was Dale Singh. Now, because he was a young prime minister, he brought in a lot of changes. He was like a revolutionary. He thought independently, thought in a much better way. He was not a very conservative prime minister, understood what was to be done, why it was to be done, how to handle things better. And so he brought about many changes. He brought many changes in economy, in science, in technology. He tried to solve the Tamil minority problem in Sri Lanka. You all must have done that chapter, power sharing, the first chapter of your politics, where you have two examples of Belgium and Sri Lanka. Just to give you a small idea on that, um, Belgium and Sri Lanka, we're not looking at Belgium, we are looking at Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka was freed from British rule on 4th of February 1948. There were two main communities in Sri Lanka, the Sinhalese and the Tamils. Now, the Sinhalese are the indigenous people of Sri Lanka, indigenous meaning the local people who are born and brought up over there. And the second group in Sri Lanka was the Tamil majority. Now, the Tamil people, how they reached over there was because India as well as Sri Lanka were colonies of the British, and to work on the plantations, etc., many Tamil people went over there and later they settled themselves over there. They were concentrated more in the northern and the eastern parts of the country. Okay. Now, after independence, what happened is the Sinhalese practiced majoritarianism, meaning that they would only make policies which would favor the majority community, that is the Sinhalese. Now, there were three things that happened over here. Sinhala was to become the official language, Buddhism would become the official religion, and all states would be not states, all seats would be reserved for the Sinhalese. This gradually angered the Tamils, and finally they came up with liberation tigers of Tamil Elam. They started demanding for a separate state at this point of time, and they obviously looked to India for help because they were ultimately Indians, but only thing that they settled in Sri Lanka. Now, at this time, Rajiv Gandhi could not have supported the Tamils. He told LTTE, which had turned into a terrorist organization to get Sri Lanka, he told LTTE that, you want to take power, you take power, but do it the legal way, do it the democratic way. You stand up for elections and try and come to power and then sort out your issues. But they did not listen. Now, one thing that we need to understand over here is that Rajiv Gandhi possibly could not have defended or supported the Tamils as such because he was the prime minister of a democratic country, which is India. And being the prime minister of a democratic country, he could never have told another country कि हाँ भाई तुम अपने आप को बांट लो, हिस्सा कर दो, break your country into two parts. He could not have done that. If he would have done that, then where would his values or be of a democracy? How would he justify himself being a democratic prime minister? So because of this reason, he did not he neither supported the Tamils nor did he support the Sinhalese. So all he did was just try to make peace between both the communities over there. So that's what he tried to do. This really angered the Tamils, and during his election campaigning in the year during his election campaigning in the year 1991, members of the LTTE came and assassinated him. It was a girl who was a suicide bomber. So, when she went to felicitate Rajiv Gandhi, she just pressed a button and there was a huge bomb blast in which Rajiv Gandhi lost his life. So, this is the reason he was assassinated by members of the LTTE because they thought that he was not supporting his own country people. So, this is a very important thing we need to discuss when it comes to Rajiv Gandhi. The second thing is Bofors scandal. Um, Now, Bofors is a company which supplies the field howitzers, etc., and other equipments that we need for our army. It's supplied by Sweden to India, and the company name is Bofors. So, Rajiv Gandhi had, we don't know if it's true or false, But yes, he was accused of uh, taking money illegally from the Bofors people. And one important thing that happened during his case was the Shah Bano case. Now, Shah Bano was an Islamic woman, a Muslim woman. At this time, she had a case. She filed a divorce against her husband and she claimed alimony. Alimony is the amount, the money that a woman can ask from her husband during divorce so that she can maintain herself. Okay. So the case became very popular and it finally went to the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court said that maintenance should be given to Muslim women also after divorce. And this went against the Islamic principles. This went against the Islamic principles because taking money from a man would go against their religious sentiments after divorce. So they again, the Islamic community got very angry and agitated with this ruling by the Supreme Court. Finally, the Congress government intervened and passed the Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Divorce Act 1986, which said alimony should be given only for 90 days after the divorce, that is 3 months. Okay. Now, due to all these factors, because the Congress felt that the Shabano case ruling was quite right, and because of the Bofors scandal, Rajiv Gandhi had grown unpopular, and so he did not come to power for the next elections. After that, when elections were held, there was another prime minister, that is Mr. Vishwanath Pratap Singh, who remained in power from 2nd December 1989 to 10th November 1990. He was a member of the Janata Dal. Now, nothing much happens during his rule. He gave reservations to the OBCs. Again, because there were a lot of differences in the party fell in 1 year and there were elections again. Next Prime Minister, Mr. Chandrasekhar, 10th November 1990 to 21st June 1991. He was a member of the Samajwadi Janata Party. Again, you can see it hardly lasted for 7 to 8 months, the party, and it fell down. Again, there were elections, and finally, P.V. Narasimha Rao came to power. He was a member of the Congress party. He became the Prime Minister, and he completed his term from 21st June 1991 to 16th May 1996. And he brought about a lot of changes in the Indian economy. You will also have a chapter in your 10th standard economics which says globalization in the Indian economy. What happened is when we became independent in the year 1947, the government decided to keep majority of the industries as the public sector. Public sector is owned by the government, and so all the things would be affordable and cheaper for the people. This also meant that there were a lot of trade barriers in our country, meaning the amount of exports and imports were very strictly regulated. So we could have no multinational companies, not a lot of foreign goods coming into our country. Now, finally, the economy was liberalized by P.V. Narasimha Rao. He thought that now it is the time to open up our economy, to let MNCs come into our country, etc., so that it would solve many issues of poverty, unemployment. We would do better. We would also make our presence felt in the international markets. So all this really helped our economy become strong. And there was the Ayodhya issue, the Ram Janmabhoomi issue at this time. All right. That is what should happen, whether Ayodhya was the Babri Masjid issue, whether a mosque should be built or a temple should be built. So this came into limelight during P.V. Narasimha Rao's rule. Now, after P.V. Narasimha Rao's rule, there were three governments who served a very short span of time. Now, after P.V. Narasimha Rao, it was Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who served from 16th May 1996 to 1st June 1996. After that, we have Deve Gowda from 1st June 1996 to 21st April 1997. Next is Inder Kumar Gujral, again from the Janata Dal. from 21st April 1997 to 19th March 1998. Now, all these guys are hardly staying for 1 year, and because of internal instability, um, they were crashing down, and again there were elections held continuously. Then finally, the next elections, which happened in the year 1998, Atal Bihari Vajpayee came to power. That is from 19th March 1998 to 10th of October 1999. And after that, from 10th October 99 to 22nd May 2004, Atal Bihari Vajpayee was our Prime Minister. Important events that happened during his time was the India uh, proved herself as an atomic power when the nuclear tests were done at Pokhran in the year 1998. In the year 1999, there was the Indo-Pak War. It was the infiltration of the people into Kashmir, into Kargil, and India won this war. Finally, our next Prime Minister was Mr. Manmohan Singh from the Indian National Congress. He served as the Prime Minister of our country from 2004 to 2014. And then, as we all know, from 2014 till date, we have our current Prime Minister, who is Mr. Narendra Modi. And we all are aware of what he is doing and how he is as a Prime Minister, very loved by the people. So this was the list and details on the prime ministers of our country from the first till the current. Now, as we discussed this, you would have realized that till Atal Bihari Vajpayee came to power and Narendra Modi came to power, the prime ministers who did not belong to the Congress party were very, very unstable. They hardly completed 1 year of their rule. They were coming to power and then they were again losing their power, and there were re-elections, there were by-elections that kept on happening time and again. So politically, it was quite a distress for India to solve all the issues that were coming up. Now, after this, coming to some basic topics like science and technology, um, we need to remember two main revolutions that were very important in India's history. One is the Green Revolution, and Dr. M.S. Swaminathan is known as the father of the Green Revolution. This was the launch of the hybrid seeds, which revolutionized agriculture, and we had a lot of output. Second was the White Revolution, which was initiated by Dr. Varghese Kurian. It refers to the quantity of milk production. And in atomic energy, we made a lot of progress with the help of Dr. Homi Bhabha. And socially, many changes happened to, solidify the position of women, to bring more attention to the problems, domestic violence, etc. Against child labor, there were many rules, equal pay for equal wages, or the Prohibition of Dowry Act. All of this came up. There were reservations for the SCs and the STs. So all these changes came about. Later, after 1991, when PV Narasimha Rao liberalized our economy, India also got into some international treaties like BRICS, G20. These are all international organizations which help regulate and support international trade and globalization. So India has proved herself as a global country with all the prime ministers, but we need to remember where we are today is not the result of the efforts of any one prime minister. It has been the cumulative effort of many different prime ministers, and that's why we are where we are today. So with this, we end this chapter. Again, I am giving you 2 minutes. If you have any doubts regarding this, what we have discussed, you can please put it on chat. I will answer your questions. Yes, Soham, there was also ISRO and development in space. All this happened together, taking India to a whole new level. Anyone having any doubts, please type it. Please put it onto the chat box. No, Esas, you do not have to learn the tenures of the Prime Minister. I will also be giving you all the notes on this. You would get it very soon. You don't have to learn the tenures. It is just for your information so that you know how unstable politically we were. So it's only like very recently that we have become a little stable. So you don't have to learn the tenures. Any other doubts? All right. So what we discussed right now, what we were doing today, was the threats that our country was facing from outside our own borders. No, Soham, Nehru died a natural death from heart attack. Loss of trust. Obviously, Nehru over trusted the Chinese people. All our other political leaders kept on telling him that you should not over trust the Chinese people. You trust them, but don't have blind faith on them. So obviously he was guilty of that, but yes, China did make a surprise attack on us, which culminated into a full-blown war. But he died a natural death. All right. So what we were discussing right now was the external threats that India faced. मतलब बाहर से जो भी threats थे, like wars from other countries, neighboring countries. Now the next chapter we are going to focus on the internal threats that our country was facing. All right, for this, I'm going to share a PPT. All right. So now here we are going to concentrate on India's internal challenges. So see, these are the some of the places here. We have Kashmir, Pakistan, China. Over here, where we see the pink dots, they are the most problematic areas. Here we have cross-border terrorism, infiltration into Kashmir, Kashmir being unstable. Here we have multiple secessionist movements in the Northeast. By secession, the word secession means breaking away from the bigger group. So these countries in the Northeast wanted to break away from India and have their own independent country. Naxalism, we will come to that in some time. Okay. Here we have the Naxalite areas, the Maoist insurgency, whether you call it Maoism, you call it Naxalism, everything is quite similar. We will cover all of these one by one. Now, the main challenges faced by India were four of these separatist movements. That is, some states wanted to separate themselves and make their own independent country. Regionalism, which means that some regions are more developed than the others, and why is it so? Communalism. Communalism has its roots in religion. People belonging to one religion belong to one community. So it's a communal tension that my community is better than yours. So communalism, a very, very, very strong internal threat, and Naxalism. Naxalism is the lower sections of people coming and fighting for their rights. So we'll do all of them one by one. Starting with the first, that is our separatist movements. When talking of separatist movements, the first one that we do is unrest in Punjab. Now here I am coming to the demand for Khalistan thing in detail that we did in last class. Now what happened is, as we all know, Punjab also shares its borders with Pakistan, and there is a lot of Sikh community staying in Punjab. Now this Sikh people, they started demanding for a separate state, for a separate country, which they wanted to call Khalistan. Now they wanted to establish a Sikh theocratic state. What do you mean by the word theocracy? It means rule by God. So you have no constitution, but the holy book becomes your constitution. That is, the Guru Granth Sahib for the Sikhs would become their constitution. Whatever rules are written in that, what are the things people should follow or not follow, and the religious head will become the head of that country. Like for example, it's there in Christianity also, like we say Vatican City is a theocratic state. There is no constitution over there. The Bible is the constitution and the Pope is the head of the country. As also with Islam, many Islamic countries are theocracies. They do not have a formal constitution or they are not a democracy. They go by the rules of the Quran, and the religious head is their head. Like, for example, the president of a democratic state. Here it would be the religious head of the theocratic state. So they wanted to establish a Sikh theocratic state. This movement flourished, but it reached its peak in the 1970s and 1980s. Now, after we got independence, the Punjabis, they created an Akali Dal. It was to, help the people of Punjab. Okay. In the year 1966, the Punjab Reorganization Act was passed by our government, and it was brought into effect on 1st November 1966. As per this, Punjab was divided, and what was made was Punjab, state of Haryana, and some of the areas were given to Himachal Pradesh, and Chandigarh was made a union territory. Now this again angered the Sikhs, because Khalistan movement उनको सब Sikh को एक साथ रखना था, and here the government divided the people. Now what happened in the year 1972 was that the Akali Dal lost the elections in Punjab, and finally then, to regain the trust of people and to come to power again, the Akali Dal passed the Anandpur Sahib resolution in the year 1973. Now, what was the Anandpur Sahib resolution? It was a list of demands that they wanted the government to fulfill. And with this, they thought that the Sikh people would become happy and they would again come to power. So, some of the demands of the Anandpur Sahib resolution were Chandigarh should be made a part of Punjab. Punjabi speaking parts in the other states, that is Haryana and Himachal, should again be included into Punjab. The recruitment of Sikh soldiers, meaning that there should be more Sikh soldiers in the Indian army, and more autonomy, means more independence, should be given to the state of Punjab. Now, Akali Dal then came to power in the year 1977. When they came to power, they put forward two more demands. One is that they wanted a larger share of the river waters, and secondly, they wanted Amritsar to get the status of a holy city. Now, for some time, everybody forgot about the Anandpur Sahib resolution. They came to power. Our government did not pay much attention to it. But, after it was, so it was forgotten for some time. But finally, again, it came up into the limelight in the 1980s. Now, these photos over here, they show you that the terrorists, as we will see, were hidden into the Golden Temple. So this is the damage done to the temple. This also shows you that many people have died. This is the actual picture of the Golden Temple, which was, attacked, and this is how it looked. This is another photo of, you can see bomb blasts inside the temple complex. These are the casualties, the Indian soldiers who are standing once that evacuated the terrorists from here. Now, some guys that you need to remember during this Khalistan movement is Sant Harcharan Singh Longowal, who became the head of the Akali Dal. This is Sant Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale, who became like a terrorist and hid inside the Golden Temple. Now, this Bhindranwale is the guy who is very strongly in favor of Khalistan. This is Lala Jagat Narayan, who was the editor of a newspaper, and he was assassinated by Bhindranwale. And this is General Major Kuldeep Singh Brar. He led the Operation Blue Star. We will come to the Operation Blue Star in just like 5 minutes. Now, when it comes to the independent movement of Khalistan, so Golden Temple is a very holy structure for the Sikhs. Now, whenever this Sant Harcharan Singh Longowal, who was the leader of the Akali Dal, whenever he wanted to, protest, he would do it in front of the Golden Temple, saying that God also has sanctioned to what we are doing. Now, he never attacked the temple or never went inside the temple. The only thing he protested in and around the temple. Bindranwale was a strong supporter of the Khalistan movement, and he began his terrorist activities. He was arrested in 1981 because he was accused of the murder of this guy, Lala Jagat Narayan, who was the editor of a newspaper. Now, what happened is Lala Jagat Narayan, in his newspaper, he started writing ill or started writing bad about Bindranwale, saying that he's a terrorist, and he criticized Bindranwale and his work a lot. And he was a Congress leader. Lala Jagat Narayan was a Congress leader. So all these angered Bindranwale, and Bindranwale had assassinated Lala Jagat Narayan. And one more thing that Lala Jagat Narayan did is, when the census was being taken by the government in the year 1981, he said that Hindi should be written as the mother tongue of all the citizens. This really angered Bhindranwale, that our mother tongue is Punjabi, we are living in Punjab and it is not Hindi. So because of this, he killed Jagat Narayan. On 15th of September 1981, Bhindranwale was arrested, but later he was released because there was no proof against Bhindranwale. So he was released very soon. Now, over a period of time, what happened by the year we come to 1982, Sant Harcharan Singh Longowal and Sant Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale, that is Akali Dal and Bhindranwale, both joined their hands together, and they launched the Dharm Yudh Morcha to implement the Anandpur Sahib resolution, that is Chandigarh be made part of Punjab and Punjabi speaking states should come together. Remember, throughout this time, Longowal never ever was in favor of independent Khalistan. He only wanted the Anandpur Sahib resolution to be passed. He only wanted that the Punjab state government should have more power over the state of Punjab than the central government. That's it. But Bhindranwale was hell bent on creating a separate country of Khalistan. But they came together and Longowal joined hands with Bhindranwale only so that the Anandpur Sahib resolution could be passed. Now, this movement of the Anandpur Sahib resolution, it was spread outside India also. So it was, there are a lot of Sikhs staying in UK, London, and there the movement was made famous by Davinder Singh Parmar and Jagjit Singh Chauhan. Now, Jagjit Singh Chauhan also visited Pakistan to gather support for the independence of Punjab and transition of Punjab into Khalistan. So Pakistan obviously was in support of the formation of Khalistan, because this would make India weak and it would clearly show the world that India is still not stable. All the states within India are fighting for their independence, and see how Punjab has become independent. So obviously Pakistan supported the movement. Okay. Now, what happened is that Bhindranwale became very agitated. He became the leader of the Sikh militancy. He wanted the creation of Khalistan really badly. And, he started all his terrorist activities, attacking everybody, killing Lala Jagat Narayan. And though he was arrested, there was no result, nothing against him. So what he did is to see to it that his movement becomes very strong, his terrorist activities become very strong. What he did is uh, he went to stay in the Akal Takht. Now the Akal Takht is inside the Golden Temple. It is a part of the Golden Temple. His followers captured the Golden Temple and made it like a fort. So around the Golden Temple, they put sandbags and all of this, made it look like a fort. that we are hiding over here, and they were ready with their arms so that if anybody comes, they could attack the people. This really disturbed the peace in Punjab, and finally, due to all these things, President's rule was imposed in Punjab in the year 1983. Now, when Bhindranwale went and hid inside the Golden Temple, it became a very serious issue because he was hiding as a terrorist, and also Indira Gandhi and the Indian government got really annoyed by this issue because Pakistan was supporting the movement for Khalistan. Now, following this, what happened is that Akali Dal also withdrew its support from Bhindranwale because they were never in support of Khalistan, and they never ever favored this, that they go and hide inside the Golden Temple. Now, the Golden Temple had to be evacuated. It was very clear that, we had to eliminate Bhindranwale, we had to arrest him so that peace could be restored in Punjab, and so that Pakistan could no longer interfere in our country. Now, for this, this is where this guy comes in, Major Kuldeep Singh Brar. This is Operation Blue Star. This is the Golden Temple, the Akal Takht, a part of the Golden Temple where the terrorists were hidden. This is Bhindranwale and his supporter. This is Indira Gandhi, who was made sure to launch the Operation Blue Star. Why the Operation Blue Star was launched? It was launched to take the terrorists out of the Golden Temple complex. We could not let them be over there, so they had to be taken out. And this Operation Blue Star was led by Major Kuldeep Singh Brar. It started on the morning of 3rd June 1984 and lasted till 8th of June 1984. It resulted in the death of Bhindranwale. Bhindranwale was killed, and all the other terrorists, many other terrorists were also killed. So this was Operation Blue Star, which was successful. Now, because of this Operation Blue Star, to solve the Bhindranwale issue and to stop the Khalistan movement, and because he was hiding inside the Golden Temple, Indira Gandhi had no choice but to evacuate him from the Golden Temple. And to evacuate him, she obviously had to put the military over there. Now, this is the thing that angered the Sikh community, because of which her Sikh bodyguards killed her, assassinated her, Satwant Singh and Bian Singh. That how could you attack Golden Temple? Now, she did not attack the Golden Temple. She made no orders for the Golden Temple to be attacked. She only ordered the military that you have to bring out the terrorists from the Golden Temple. So what happened to the Golden Temple is what we call collateral damage. Collateral damage is nothing but something that happens when you're trying to solve some issue. There is some mistake, small mistake, that is bound to happen. That is collateral damage. So when two countries, for example, are going to war, when the civilians die, when the common people die, that is collateral damage. So what happened to the Golden Temple was just by chance. She never intended to destroy the Golden Temple, but this angered the Sikh community, and that is why she was assassinated. So I hope it gets clear now what was not clear in the last chapter, where Esas, I think, had asked me that what was the demand for Khalistan. So this was the demand for Khalistan, and why the Operation Blue Star was launched. Yes. So why the Operation Blue Star was launched? There was absolutely no mistake for her. If we have terrorists in our country, we cannot tell them कि अच्छा चलो रह लो आराम से थोड़ी देर. No, that can't be possible, right? Evacuation becomes very, very important. Why were they hiding in the temple? That was the safest place to be. Also, they knew कि यहाँ पे तो हमें कोई attack करेगा नहीं, because this is a temple. Nobody will come inside and attack us. So that is why they hid inside the temple. It was the safest place to hide. So things would not have been so severe if they would have hidden over there. But when they put sandbags, etc., all over the temple, all around the temple, they started regulating who goes inside the temple and who goes out of the temple. That is when things started becoming a problem. Okay. Now, this Operation Blue Star resulted in the death of Bhindranwale and many other terrorists. Now, this is not the last time such an event happened at the Golden Temple. Now, just for your information, in the year 1986, again terrorists went and hid inside the Golden Temple. This was called Operation Black Thunder. There are two parts of Operation Black Thunder. Okay, both of them were against the terrorists who were hiding in the Golden Temple. Now, Operation Black Thunder 1 took place on 30th of April 1986. This operation was commanded by Julio Ribeiro, who was the DGP of Punjab. It also had 300 NSG commandos were called and 700 border security force was called. They captured around 200 Sikh militants, terrorists from the Golden Temple. Now, they again went and hid in the year 1988. This is when Operation Black Thunder, the second part, was carried out. On 9th of May 1988, it was commanded by Kanwar Pal Singh Gill, again the DGP of Punjab. Snipers were used at this time. 200 militants surrendered and 41 of them were killed. So this is the Khalistan movement and what happened over there. Finally, peace was made and we did prevent Punjab from breaking away. It still continues to be with our country. Now, the next separatist movement that we are going to refer to are the northeastern states in our country which wanted to seek independence. I'm sorry the image is not so clear, but you can make out it's made up of 7 states: Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, and Meghalaya. Coming to first Mizoram, this is where it is. Mizoram was created got statehood in the year 1985. The most active guy during this time, or the man who led the revolution in Mizoram, was Lal Denga, and this is him. This is the Mizo National Front, the organization which was fighting for Mizo independence. Now see, look over here. It's a small flowchart. In the year 1947, when we got independent, government gave administrative autonomy to districts of Mizo majority areas. Administrative autonomy only. कोई ज़्यादा powers नहीं दिए हैं, बस administration से related. Okay, to Mizo majority areas. In the year 1954, all the Mizo leaders started demanding an autonomous Mizo province. मतलब Mizo के जो leaders थे, they started saying that we want a separate independent Mizo province. Then in the year 1961, Lal Denga came and established the Mizo National Front. See, this is the logo. Mizo National Front and Lal Denga. So he established the Mizo National Front and asked for Greater Mizoram. He said that you give Mizoram to us, we are going to rule it. In the year 1966, the Mizo National Front announced the emergence of independent Mizoram. Okay, so 1966, the Mizo National Front, वो लोगों ने बहुत आराम से बोल दिया that yes, now we are independent, we are not related to India, we have broken away from India. So obviously we had to do something about this. How can you just declare yourself independent? Then in the year 1972, Mizoram was given the status of a union territory. To prevent it from breaking away, Indira Gandhi interfered and she said that Mizoram को हम union territory बना देंगे. Now, why was it made a union territory and not a state? Is because union territories are directly controlled by the central government. So, if they again try to break away, etc., the central government can directly pass rule over the Mizoram area. Finally, in the year 1985, Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi had an agreement with the Mizo National Front and Mizoram became a full-fledged state. It became a proper state from the year 1985. Next, we come to Nagaland. Creation of Nagaland in the year 1963. They had a organization again which was called Naga National Council. This is the logo. This 3 colors like a rainbow and the star. This is the logo of Naga National Council. Now, the guy who was very active in Nagaland was Angami Zapu Pizo. Now, let's look at some facts that happened in Nagaland. So in the year 1946, the Naga National Council was established. It demanded again similarly the creation of an independent state of Nagaland. Imagine they want such a small territory to be an independent country. Now their leader of the Naga National Council was Angami Zapu Fizo. In the year 1954, the Naga National Council announced that Nagaland has become an independent state. So they said that we have become independent. Now remember this, after independence what happened is Nagaland was controlled by the Ministry of Assam. That is why in the year 1955, lot of fights took place between the local Nagas and the soldiers of the Assam Rifles. So the Assamese government also had to intervene into the Nagaland issue. Now there were a lot of discussions that took place between the central government and the Naga National Council. First it was thought that we will make Nagaland also union territory. But finally on 1st of December 1963, Nagaland became a full-fledged state. So finally, after the Mizoram issue, the Nagaland issue was also solved. Next, we come to Assam. Assam is the largest in the Seven Sisters in the Northeast. Assam was created in the year 1986. This was their logo of the Assam Ganga Sangram Parishad. And this guy very active in the revolution in Assam, Prafulla Kumar Mohanto. Now what happened in Assam was very peaceful. There was nothing internally that was happening. There was an external threat. Let's see what it was. So in the year 1983, what happened is a lot of migrants, see over here, a lot of migrants, this is Bangladesh, a lot of migrants from Bangladesh went into Assam. So this really irritated the Assamese. Also a lot of Bengalis came in over there. So in the year 1983, there was an intense agitation by all Assam Students Union and Assam Gana Sangram Parishad over the dominance of Bengali migrants in Assam. They were just bothered about one issue कि ये migrants को हमें निकालना है. Then in the year 1985, our Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, Central Home Minister Shankarrao Chauhan, and the Assamese leader Prafulla Kumar Mohanto, they signed an accord, that is an agreement, to send the Bangladeshi citizens who had come to Assam back to their original place. Which means that all the Bangladeshi people who have come to Assam will go back to Bangladesh. And then the issue was solved. Elections were held in 1986 very peacefully in Assam, and Prafulla Kumar Mohanto came to power and became the new Chief Minister of Assam. So Assam did not ever talk of breaking away from the Indian Union. It just wanted the issue of migrants to be solved, and it was solved well and peacefully. Peace was restored in Assam. Next we are going to the Arunachal Pradesh, rise over here, shares its borders with China. In the year 1954, that is during the Britishers' rule, the northeastern frontier province was formed, which comprised of territories on the Sino-Indian border, that is this side. NEFA was formed of all these areas. And special provisions were made for these areas under Schedule 6 of the Indian Constitution. Now in 1965, the responsibility of administering the NEFA of all these areas was given to Ministry of External Affairs. Then in the year 1971, the Northeastern Council Act, okay, this was an act which was made to, put rules or make rules regarding transport, electricity, etc. in the Northeastern area. So this Northeastern Council Act was to advise the government on how to act on economic and social factors over here. Finally, in the year 1972, NEFA began to be called Arunachal Pradesh, that is region of the rising sun. Why so? Because India में सबसे पहले sunrise होता है Arunachal Pradesh, because sun rises from the east. And in the year 1987, that is 20th February 1987, Arunachal Pradesh became a full-fledged state. So these were some of the separatist movements that we were looking at of the Northeast. Now we go to the next part, that is Naxalism. Now what Naxalism etc. exactly is? Okay, the word Naxal gets its name from a village in West Bengal, from a small village in West Bengal, which is called Naxalbari. So it gets its name from Naxalbari because this sort of an event for the first time happened in Naxalbari. What happened in Naxalbari was there was a peasant revolt over there. So what happened over here is that the landless laborers, the poor landless laborers were very badly treated, very suppressed, very highly oppressed. So what they said is uh, that they thought that we will take the land from the landowners and distribute the land among ourselves. So what they did is they started killing all the landlords one after the other, and they started claiming their territory as their own. So they thought that because the government is not doing anything to help us, we need to help ourselves. So they took to this violent form of response, as the government was not helping them. So this is what Naxalism is all about: activities, protests, rebellions, revolts, attacks, led by the lower section of society, uh, to overthrow all the rich people and distribute the territory among themselves. They believe in equality for all. So when you see these red and orange and yellow areas, these are the areas where Naxalism is very popular. So you can see mainly Hyderabad, Telangana, West Bengal. So this is what Naxalism is all about. Their main agenda or main objective was to redistribute land to the landless people. Now, the uprising of Naxalism was initiated by Charu Majumdar, Kannu Sanyal, Jangal Santhal, all these people. I'm sure you must have heard of the CPI, that is Communist Party of India. They also actively support Naxalism in a way, because they are all believe in socialism, which means that all the goods of the government, everything will be owned by the government, and everything will be equally distributed among the people. So they claim, or they stress and work towards a society in which there are no classes, where everybody is equal. Now, till these guys, the Naxalites, were attacking the landlords and claiming the territory as their own, this all things are still okay. Now the problem started coming up when what happened is, to achieve their goals, they thought कि government हमारा सुन नहीं रहा है. So what they did is, they took to terrorism. They started having a lot of terrorist activities. They started attacking the people, and they stopped all the government policies from reaching the common people of the areas where they are present. So the people could not get any benefits of the government. If there is elections, the normal citizens were not allowed to go and vote. So these kind of things the Naxals started doing, and that is when they were claimed as a terrorist organization. So even today, Naxalites are called terrorists in our country. Okay, they started running a parallel system. They started rejecting democracy, and they wanted to establish communism. Now, one more reason for Naxalism is to come up is that all the reservations against STs and STs were not properly implemented by the Indian Constitution and the government. So also they are very angry against the government. Now, to stop the Naxalite activities in the year 1971, Indira Gandhi mobilized the Indian army against the Naxalites, and she launched Operation Steeplechase, which killed hundreds of Naxalites and imprisoned more than thousands of suspects who were, thought to be Naxalites. So this is what happened when it comes to Naxalism. They are still a very, very active terrorist group in our country, very active in these areas: West Bengal, Telangana, Hyderabad. They stay very deep in the forests where we cannot contact them. It's very difficult to reach them. So yes, this is a very, very threatening internal threat to our country. Next, we move to communalism. Communalism has its roots in religion, has its roots in community. People of all the communities feel that my community is better than the others, and so this gives rise to a feeling of communalism. Communalism to some extent is still okay, tolerable, but when you start attacking the other community to prove your own superiority, that's when communalism becomes a problem. All right. So the roots of communalism that we see in our country, this basically, the roots of communalism were sowed by the Britishers, uh, that is the Hindu and the Muslim communal riots that keep on taking place in our country. So all the pictures that you see over here are people burning something, people running away. So this clearly tells you that it is a very, very problematic issue. So communalism is really bad for our country. Hindu-Muslim riots have been the best example of this issue. It started with the Babri Masjid issue. Now, Ayodhya is supposed to be the birthplace of Lord Ram and considered a very, very pious place for the Hindus. Now, it is believed that now it was believed. Okay. Now, what happened is Mir Baki, who was a general of Babur, the Mughal dynasty, when Babur came to India, it was believed that वहाँ पे एक Hindu temple था. He destroyed that temple and he built the Babri Masjid in the year 1528. Mir Baki was the main guy who saw to it that the mosque was built. Now, because of this, there was a controversy because Hindus felt that this is the birthplace of Ram and he destroyed the Ram temple and he has made a mosque over here. Now, the main issue started in the year 1949 when Hindu activists went inside the mosque and they placed statues of Ram, Lakshman, and Sita inside the mosque. Now, this one started adding to the tension. So, what the government did is to stop any issues of this sort. They locked up the building so that there could be no further disputes over here, so that nobody could go in, nobody could go out. And since then, this area has been under dispute. In the year 1992, the mosque was attacked and demolished by Hindu car sevaks. Hindu car sevaks are all those who were in support of making a temple over there. So that's what happened at this time. Just give me a minute. Now, since then, the Ayodhya issue, the Ram Mandir issue, has been on the radar for many years. It had gone to the Allahabad High Court, after which it also went to the Supreme Court. Now, in the year September 2010, the Allahabad High Court said that there will be a Ram temple and there will also be a mosque over there. So you have to divide the property and build both of them. But again, the Hindus and the Muslims, neither of them were happy and with this judgment, and they appealed to the Supreme Court. And this was addressed in the Supreme Court from August to October 2019. Finally, on the 9th of November 2019, the Supreme Court declared the statement of the Allahabad High Court as null and void. And they said that यहाँ पे Hindu temple ही बनेगा, and also ordered the government, to give a 5-acre plot away from the Hindu, where the Hindu temple was to be built, to the Muslims so that they could build their mosque over there. Okay. So now the new mosque that is to be built is 19 miles, like 30 kilometers away from the place where the temple of Ayodhya is to be built. So this is what happened in Ayodhya. So the roots of communalism arise from this Babri Masjid issue. Now you guys must have seen the temple has been started to build, and Narendra Modi had gone and sat in the puja etc. over there, and now finally the temple is being made over here. So this is communalism. Last we come to regionalism. Now regionalism is basically a belief that some regions are more developed than the others. Now these are just some graphs over here which show the state-wise per capita income. You can see Delhi has the highest and Andhra Pradesh has the lowest. Now what happens is all the people who feel that they are not well developed, they always feel that the government is in favor of the regions that are really well developed. And so it is this feeling कि हमारे यहाँ development कम है, so we as a state are neglected. The government is not doing anything for us and this and that. That is regionalism, the feeling that my region is more developed than yours or my region is less developed than yours. And so I am always and have always been at a disadvantage, and this will continue to happen. This is the growth of the state GDP. You can see, okay, they are not very fresh estimates, but the green line is 94 to 2002 and the brown is 2002 to 2011. You can see that some states have made thick progress. If you see, Rajasthan has come down, Punjab has gone up, but hardly by some margin. Whereas if you see Uttarakhand, from 4.61, it has gone up to 12.21. So this is what happens, even Chhattisgarh, if you see, has made quite some progress. So regionalism is a feeling that my region is not developed, so I am at a disadvantage. And then I will start having problems with the government. So that is what it is. Coming back to this PPT or this chapter, India's internal challenges, we mainly spoke about the challenges that India faces within the country. These are separatist movements like the unrest in Punjab, the Khalistan movement, which was followed by the Operation Blue Star. The movements in Northeast India, where Mizoram, Nagaland, and Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, where they wanted to break away, but somehow we convinced them to stay with the Indian Union, and they did so, and now everything is all right. Then we came to Naxalism, which operates as a terrorist organization within our country and is a big threat to our peace. Communalism, communal riots, which go on, again, they endanger our peace. And regionalism, where people need to understand that not all regions are same, and obviously the growth of all the regions will be different. So finally, what we learn from this is united we stand. Whatever differences we have, India is a land of diversity. We have a lot of diversity and still we stay together. So it's not always the problem of the government or the issues of the government that we need to address. We ourselves, we need to try and do something to see to it that we keep peace. We have many languages, many religions, many different customs and traditions, but that's how it is. you know so united we stand, divided we fall. Despite our differences, we have to continue to maintain our unity and stay together. We cannot always go and blame the government that you have not done this and you have not done that. So this is what we did today. What were the external challenges that India faced and what were the internal challenges that India faced, right? So we are done with these chapters today. We are done with the class. Again, if you all have any doubts, please feel free to ask your doubts or else you can leave the session. Okay, I'll see you all next class, next Sunday. Anyone has any doubts, please ask. If you all have no doubts, you can leave the session. Those who have no doubts can leave the session. Yes, SRs, there will be tests. You will be notified for the test.